we're living in a time where, as I mentioned, things are changing quite a bit for traditionalists, and things are still somewhat difficult when it comes to material means. Many people are away from a Latin mass, but do you see it as we're going to see more independent priests as time goes on? If we don't see Traditionis Custodes revoked, do you think we're going to see more of these sort of hidden secret masses from diocesan priests saying the Latin Mass in the shadows? What do you think of those? Should that be the way a lot of these priests go, or do you think that they should go to more typical options like the FSSP, SSPX for those priests in general? Where do you see the traditional movement going?
I think you're going to see more priests joining up with Exsurge Domine, as an example. They
Mhm.
operate in the United States now. Um, as long as Archbishop Vigano is around, which man is like 82 or 83 years old, so who knows how long that'll be. And I'm not trying to be morbid, we're just being realistic. I hope he's got a
Mhm.
succession plan already in place. As long as that happens, you're going to see that the traditional, little t traditional priestly fraternities, they're very discerning on who they allow in for good reason. You want them to be
Yes.
discerning. But when you look at their ordinations, they're all either record or near record ordinations. Their seminary classes are huge, relatively speaking. The FSSP in North America's seminary class looks larger than most dioceses, which
Mhm.
on the one hand sounds great until you realize, well, they got to then spread all those priests all across North America, which kind of,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So, but then again, a certain reading of Traditionis Custodes means you can't even build a new FSSP chapel in your diocese either, depending how you read it.
Mhm.
So at some point they're going to hit a ceiling unless they take a page from the SSPX and start actively having their priests drive around to offer masses. But then you start running into other problems with Traditionis Custodes.
Right.
So I do think that most priests should carefully discern what it is their options are and what to do. And going independent is a very heavy cross for a priest to take. Absolute independence, meaning they don't have a bishop, giving them permission off the sacraments. I mean, that's not exactly a small deal. That is a very serious decision they have to make for themselves. But I totally understand why some priests will legitimately come to that decision. Like
Mhm.
a year ago, when the Coalition for Canceled Priests and Father Altman were kind of fighting amongst themselves, I really hated reporting on that stuff because those priests had all been canceled illegitimately, in my book, and they're all
Mhm.
decent priests. And I can understand why some of them who'd been canceled won't offer the sacraments because they don't have permission from a bishop. But I also understand the flip side of that too, because what is the first law of the church? The first law of the church is the salvation of souls. And every other law is secondary to that, including obedience to your bishop. It does tell you how bad the state of things is when you can say there are legitimate times where a priest has to ignore his bishop or his permissions. Hence why if a priest in a diocese has one of the hardline bishops who says no at all to any traditional Latin mass, or maybe they have an FSSP parish on the edge of their diocese because there's an SSPX chapel there, and that priest decides he needs to offer a traditional mass periodically underground without the permission of the bishop, I can see why he would legitimately come to that decision, especially if you've got like
Mhm.
a McElroy or somebody like that as your ordinary.
Yeah, it's very difficult for these priests, and we should be praying for them constantly. And that's not a cliche. I think they're definitely experiencing spiritual warfare that they're going to have to go through, and we can help them out.